What fascinates us about retro games? Why are they so appealing to all generations of gamers? Why is games such as Axiom Verge, Minecraft and Faster Than Light been so successful? I don't believe that there's an easy answer to that question. Gaming technology has rapidly progressed ever since the creation of Pong, one of the earliest games ever made. A technological curve can be traced across decades showing the evolution of technology, graphics and gameplay features. It's fairly predictable up until the late 2000s. What happened? Why did gaming suddenly change direction and started going backwards? Gameplay values changed. Graphical progression, which had dominated gaming technology since the 80s, suddenly didn't matter as much. So what makes retro games so popular? Is it just nostalgia, or is there a deeper reason behind it? Terraria, a game that is obviously building on the foundation laid out by the earlier Minecraft, which had generated a massive interest in creative exploration games. A fantastic game which brought the Minecraft idea into a two-dimensional world, and what a hit it was. Nostalgia probably plays a large part in why these new kinds of retro games are so popular amongst all the gamers. Core gameplay mechanics hasn't changed much across the decades. There's been new innovations and ideas, but the fundamentals have remained somewhat unchanged, I feel. Since 1996 and the advent of the Quake engine that revolutionized first-person shooters, we've seen massive improvements to graphics which unlocked fantastic potential for the following 2 decades. Games such as Murder Death Kill, Half-Life and eventually Far Cry lay the foundation for coming generations of games. Granted, those games were limited to PCs at the time, but the golden era of console gaming was on its way out, making room for a new platform with greater potential and much faster technological advances. Then there's Starbound, another two-dimensional creative exploration game born out of the success of Terraria, this time expanding the size of the in-game world tenfold. Is a large amount of content key to why retro games are so popular? What does games such as Starbound provide that earlier generations of games could or did not? Metroid, a game released in 1986 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, provided players with a huge expansive world, exploration, backtracking and numerous enemies and upgrades. Something we've seen popularized in role-playing games such as Fallout, Diablo and Elder Scrolls, countless other games. But despite the limitations of the consoles at the time, it still provided gamers with hours upon hours of content. If we take a look at Axiom Verge, we can get a clear image of how modern technology doesn't necessarily have to improve upon a retro game for it to be successful. It looks like, plays like and feels like a game released in the 80s as opposed to games such as Minecraft and Terraria, which has a very modern feel to them. So neither content nor modern tools are the reasons why retro games have become such a hit in the last half decade. Perhaps the answer can be found in modern games. Like the music industry, AAA gaming has reached a point where there's an easy recipe that can be followed with simple ingredients to make a product that sells. The main gaming companies of the day knows what sells and panders to the lowest common denominator. And it works. But within the gaming scene growing at a rapid pace, there appears to be a shift in what people actually want. Whilst games such as Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Overwatch and StarCraft 2 provides players with intense and rewarding deathmatch and competition, especially as esports, they fail to provide players with original ideas, story and immersion. Whether playing such games can be immersive can be debated. However, it's difficult to imagine that it's possible to become as immersed in competitive deathmatch games as you get while playing story-driven games such as Last of Us, Portal or the Stanley Parable. Modern games feel repetitive in their core fundamentals, because they are. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does beg the question, what happens when gamers get tired of the same content over and over again, but in different packaging? Don't fix what isn't broken is a common phrase, and it is largely true when it comes to gaming and what sells. But there will always be a certain percentage of people who are looking for new challenges, experiences and rewards. For all the generations of gamers, retro games most likely has a nostalgic appeal. While it is more of the same from when they were younger, it builds on old ideas and improves upon them. So they feel like new experiences, and for newer generations, they are new experiences. So is that it? Are retro games so popular simply because we're tired of the modern gaming scene? I doubt it. It is but one aspect of why retro games have risen in popularity. Another reason is probably quite a simple one. Graphics have always been a crucial part of gaming evolution. While a lot of people, myself included, tend not to care about graphics and focus more on gameplay value, graphics have undeniably played a pivotal role in the evolution of gaming. The programmers that push the limits of what graphics engines can render are the ones that propel the entire gaming scene forwards. Without the innovations of those people, we'd still be struggling with figuring out how to render more than 8 colors. Remember, earlier graphics consisted of pixels representing colors, and adding another 8 to the previous 8 colors was a huge step forwards, and that persists to this day. But the evolution of graphics have caught up to the physical limitations of computers. The minimum size of the components required in a computer to make significant graphical changes have reached a point where going any smaller would make them stop functioning due to quantum mechanics. But that's something that could be covered in another video, and would require some extensive research on my part. So is it possible that retro games have risen in popularity in the last half-decade simply because computers are unable to provide any further significant graphical upgrades? I feel it is, but for how long? Virtual reality is on the rise, which is a new and unique way to experience gaming. So perhaps retro gaming is just a fad, something to keep us occupied until the next big thing. I'd like to believe it's not, because I'm a huge fan of all these retro games that are being released on the indie scene, and has started influencing AAA companies to deviate from the standard model of game creation. So it appears as if retro games are a nostalgic throwback, providing new experiences and being something to occupy us until the gaming scene grows into a new phase, namely virtual reality. But perhaps I'm wrong, perhaps virtual reality isn't here to stay either, but I strongly believe it isn't going anywhere anytime soon. This has been Alexander with some thoughts on retro games. Cheerio!